you look across the board now, and there's a ton of length and athleticism. You mentioned the word versatile. There's a ton of lineup versatility. I think we're going to be able to play even faster. I think we can get way more aggressive defensively. I think we can continue to grow as a rebounding team. And certainly, just the different offensive options that we're going to have, it's exciting. You do got to try to get to this point and feel like you have a really competitive roster with not just talent, but the right kind of guys that fit, our values, that fit our culture, that fit our style of play. I do think we've done that with this roster. Again, that's just step one. There's no reason to celebrate. But to this point, I'm proud of what's been created, and a lot of people, most notably our returning players and our staff, deserve the credit for that. The guys that have been here can see the improvement and feel the improvement of the program. They feel like they're a part of that. And feel like there's a lot of unfinished business there. There's so much attention in the transfer portal and who gets the highest ranked transfer recruits and who has the best transfer class and all that kind of stuff. And I think what we've said as a staff is, let's celebrate the guys that return. Yeah, and unless, they want to give us more scholarships and that type of thing. But no, we have a really nice roster now. It was important to put together a roster we felt really good about. I think we've accomplished that, but that's just step one of a ton of steps to become a really good basketball team. And some of the most fun part of this process starts Monday when we start our summer program. And we got to have a great summer. We're not going to just show up and be a great team because we have a roster that looks good on paper. We got to show up and do the things every single day, starting on Monday, to try to build this into a great team. It is like a nervous waiting game. As I get older, I get a little bit better at it. But no, you don't sleep as well those nights because you're anticipating decisions and you know how big those decisions can be for your program. But that's recruiting. And it's always been recruiting in that way. It's the same way in the fall when we have official visits. It's the same way in the transfer portal in the spring. It's been that way. That recruiting in some ways hasn't changed, even though it's changed in a lot of other ways. But yeah, sweating out those decisions, that's what all coaches go through. We're going to continue to go after the guys that we think are the best players that fit the things that we value and the things that this city and this community and this university value. And we're not afraid to fail in recruiting. But what I'm more proud of, Scott, is that we've got a number of really good players to say yes and then continue to say yes when they have these options to now leave year after year. So I think that's something I'm proud of for sure. I saw AP work out at 5:30 in the morning, going into his senior year. And you could see his progression from a guy that wasn't even being recruited to a top 50 player in his class. It was really neat to watch him improve throughout his high school career. And I was as sure about him in the high school recruiting process as anybody I've ever recruited. So when he goes in the transfer portal at Southern Cal, I don't care what his numbers were as a freshman. I really don't. I've already evaluated him. I know how hard it can be to be a freshman in college basketball. And so, if it was a kid that we hadn't recruited and been through that process with, and we didn't know his family and didn't have a good relationship with him, maybe all you get to do is see what he did at Southern Cal and try to make a decision off of that. But with AP, it was so much deeper. And then you come to find out he had mono his freshman year. I mean, there's things like that you learn. And it makes a lot of sense. I think he has a chance to make one of the bigger freshman to sophomore jumps in college basketball because he's super gifted. He's fully cleared, and I think ready to go Monday. I was at Day-Day's doctor's appointment, his last checkup. Days are running, probably 2.5, 3 weeks ago, down in Charlotte with the guy that did his surgery down there, and doctor looked at it, felt great about the way the screw looked, and I think his progression is exactly on pace. Yeah. I think you got to put statements like that in context a little bit. I think what he's saying is he wants to, become a player that the NBA chooses to draft, and that should be his goal. That's how he should be thinking. And I think the challenge now for Dan is to make sure that his goals, are matched by what his day-to-day habits are. I think Dan's got to spend this offseason among a bunch of our other guys obsessed with improvement and obsessed with trying to help our program get to a much higher level in terms of results and success. And I think if he maximizes what he's capable of, it's very realistic to think about him being a draft pick next year. I don't think that's crazy. I think that's the kind of goal that a young man like him should have.